you always thought it was going to get better?
I always thought if I do what he tells me, and I behave, and I cook better, and I clean better, and then it's gonna get better.
Welcome to the MariPosa show, and today we have a special guest, MariPosa herself. Today we turn the tables on her, and I ask the questions. So stay tuned; you don't want to miss the next MariPosa show. Do you worry to die? Do you fear death?
At some point I did. At some point I did, because of my boys, and because I think that it's not a pretty thing; it's a scary thing. I think we're all afraid of that. But as I started building my relationship with God, and I feel like I do, but not as much as I used to. Like now, I understand it more, and it's a path that we all.
Well, let's talk about building your relationship with God. How did you build your relationship with God? Tell me about that.
Well,
Where's your faith?
it took me a while because at first I was in denial. I was very hurt with them, and then they gave me the opportunity of moving to La Habra, and I got to meet a lot of beautiful people that started inviting me to church, and it was just beautiful. And then I was more at peace with myself at that point. I was more out of so much stress as raising my kids on my own, so I feel like I was more alone time. I had more alone time to think, and it just happened naturally, really.
So you said you were pregnant, 4 months pregnant when your mom passed away. Did she know at the time you were pregnant, or did not know?
She did.
Okay, so let's talk about the pregnancy and you becoming a very young mom. Tell me about that experience. What happened? When did you become pregnant? When did you become pregnant?
I was 15 years old at that time.
You're 15.
Yes.
And the person that impregnated you was
20 at that time.
20, and you were 15. And how were your parents with that situation?
Very hurt.
Yeah.
Very hurt.
Yeah. Did you find out first, or did your parents? How did you find out you were pregnant?
It's strange how it happened. I knew what I did was wrong. I knew I had done a boo-boo, and it's weird how I felt. I felt it like.
No.
Basically,
what I'm asking is, I mean, you went and took a test. Did you go to the doctor? I mean, how did you find out?
No, I actually started throwing up, and I was so afraid of throwing up. Every time I threw up, I as a child when I got sick, like everybody in the house knew because I was an escandalosa.
Yeah.
Like I'm like the drama queen of home, right? Like I'm like daddy's and mommy's little princess. So every time I had to vomit, I would wake everybody up.
So you were 15 and you started vomiting.
Yes.
And that was the first sign. So you were getting some kind of morning sickness,
yes.
evening sickness, and you were getting sick.
And I had to vomit, and I didn't know how to tell my mom.
Did you think at the time that you could be pregnant?
I knew I was
you
at that
knew
time.
You were.
I knew I made a mistake, and I knew at that time.
I mean, when you said you knew, did you take a test, or you just knew in your heart?
I just knew in my heart. It's weird.
Uh-huh.
It's really, really weird. I just knew in my heart I was.
So.
And then I started feeling sick, and then I said, "Yep." Within 2 weeks, I started getting morning sicknesses, and I was like, "Yep, I am screwed."
You said that. So, did you take a test first before you told your parents, or?
Yes, actually, I still remember.
Okay.
I was so scared. I went and I bought a
pregnancy test?
Yeah, I took it. I was freaking out when I saw the thing
The
positive.
results?
I was like, I'm dead. My parents are gonna kill me.
So you took the test and it came out positive. Where did you take the test at?
The restroom.
The rest you took tests at the
The
restroom.
restroom. I was shaking. I was scared.
I mean, did you go to a grocery store and bought a pharmacy, and then you
Pharmacy, yes.
there? See, so then the person that the father, do you want to mention his name?
No.
No, okay. So the person that
I call him the donor.
Okay, well, okay. So that person, what was his reaction when he found out that, you know, you were pregnant?
He was very upset.
Upset at you?
Mhm.
Well, does it take two to tango?
I like to think so.
So tell me, what was his reaction? He was upset. What did he tell you?
He said you need to get an abortion.
Really?
Mhm.
And you said?
No, it's against my beliefs, and it's against my religion.
Okay. So you said you're keeping your baby, just like the song.
Mhm.
Then, the time that you had to go and tell your parents. But did you bring them in together? Did you tell your mom? What did you do?
I had a really good relationship with my mom. She was my best friend, so I still remember this day. I sit down and I talked to her and I told her, Mom, I got something to tell you.
Do you think she knew?
No, she trusted me. No, she didn't know. She thought. I think as a mom, you want your kids to go to school
So
and get ready.
you tell your mom, and then what was her reaction?
She slapped me.
She slapped you.
Yes, in the face. Mhm.
Bam. ¿Qué te dijo?
Pendeja.
Yeah.
Mhm. And then she started crying, and then she hugged me.
Wow.
Mhm. She said, ¿Cómo le voy a decir a tu papá?
How are we going to tell your
dad's
father?
gonna kill me.
How are you going to tell your father?
No.
So how did you tell your father?
I didn't. I ran away.
You ran away?
Yeah. I thought it'd be easier if I moved with him. Then he can't hurt me, which my dad never touched me. Um, he pulled our ears here and there, but he wasn't abusive.
Yeah.
So I think more than anything, I was afraid to look at my father in the face. I was so ashamed of myself.
So you basically took off. You left.
Yeah.
You moved out.
Yes.
And you moved in with the sperm donor, as you call him.
Mhm.
So you go. At the time, obviously, you think you're in love. What
At that time, I thought I was, but I wasn't. I
Okay,
think.
well, tell me, what did you think of this guy that you're with? What was your world? I mean, was he your everything back then?
You know what? He was. I thought. I thought he cared about me, and I thought when we were dating, we were having too much fun. We were going to parties. We were drinking.
You were drinking at 15?
Yes. I was being young and dumb. Young and dumb, and I was having too much fun, so I thought, you know how your parents are always controlling you? Not that they're controlling you, but they
want the best for you. They want the best for you.
And,
they want to see
you
your
can't
best
do
interest
this and you
and
can't do that.
Take care. They set boundaries in your
Right.
life.
So I thought by me moving in with him, we were going to live happily ever after, just like Beauty and the Beast.
So how was that though? You're there, and you're 15. Was there any thought of this guy's 20 years old? You're 15. That's statutory rape now. Was there anything of
Yes.
wanting to press charges or
Yes,
or anything?
There was actually. When at that time, of course, just like everybody else. I mean, not everybody else, but at that time, I didn't have insurance. So yes, I had to go to social services and get Medi-Cal, and they wanted it to know
who the
father was. So yes, they did say if I don't move back home, that he was gonna go to jail.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Did you move back home?
I did.
Uh-huh.
I did.
So when you moved in with him, where did you guys first move into?
Well, my parents thought since he was the father of my child, that it was his job, which to be responsible for us.
Yeah.
So it happened really, really quick. We didn't move in with each other because we had to be apart, but I would
But
spend
you
a lot of.
first moved in with him. You moved in with him, and then they told you
Yes.
to go back. Okay.
Well, when we first moved in, we moved into her sister's house,
Okay.
which she was so good to me.
Okay.
Yes, she taught me so much.
So you moved into your parents' house. Did he move in with you guys?
At that time, no, we stayed apart. I would spend a lot of time with them, so it was kind of like we did move in
Yeah.
at his sister's house because I was pregnant.
Yeah.
So I did spend a lot of time with them, but no, I was at my dad's for a little bit, and he was at his sister's for a little bit.
So during that period of time, he was good to you then?
No,
No. Okay. You have been very open over the years that you're a victim of domestic violence.
correct.
So when did the abuse start? When? Tell me about the first time he laid a hand on you or was abusive to you, or when you thought, wow.
It was when we were dating. It started when we were dating, and I didn't see it.
So where were you? What was the circumstances?
Somehow he found out I was out with friends, and we went and hanged out and at a party, and somehow it got to him, and he found out about it, and he's like, "Oh, I need to talk to you." You know, friends talk, they say whatever they want to say,
Yeah.
and it got to him, and he said, "Hey, I want to talk to you. Let's go to the park."
To the park.
And he grabbed me from my neck and choked me, and he's like, "Where the
F for you.
were you?"
And you're 15.
Yeah,
You're 15 or were you younger?
15.
15. And you said?
I said, "I'm sorry."
Uh-huh.
I said, "It won't happen again."
Uh-huh. So that was the first sign that he was abusive. And then it continued from there?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
I thought,
So by the time you were pregnant, had he hit you?
yes, he pushed me a couple times.
Yeah. But you always thought it was going to get better.
I always thought if I do what he tells me and I behave and I cook better and I clean better, and then it's going to get better.
So at 15, you were cooking and cleaning and acting like a grown-up, doing all the grown-up things that your kid. But in a sense, you're kind of acting like a grown-up already, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Having to cook and be a wife at 15, kind of.
And at that time, I'm also trying to be there for my brothers as well. Yes.
Because your mom had just died.
Mm-hmm.
So your family is in chaos, so to speak.
Yeah, we're broken. We fell apart.
Yeah.
And we didn't have mom holding us together anymore.
So when do you give birth to your first son, Eric? What day?
At 16, May 6th, 1997.
Okay. And what hospital? Tell me about it.
It was Sanana Hospital, and it's called Sanana. It was called Sanana Hospital at that time. It doesn't exist anymore.
So 15 years old and you're giving labor. Are you afraid?
I was scared. I was really, really scared. I had no clue. I just knew. I was tired of being pregnant. I was just like tired. I was like, I just want to have him.
Was your boyfriend there with you?
Yes.
He was there during the birth of
Yes.
the child. Okay. And the pregnancy itself, was it very difficult for you being so young? And, I imagine in a lot of pain to have a baby. Were you in a lot of pain?
See, emotionally or physically?
Both. I mean,
I think emotionally, I was hurting because I was missing my mom, and it was a very important time of my life, and I would have loved to have her there with me. And physically, it was painful. Of course, yes, labor is painful.
By the time you were giving birth, were you 16 at the time, or were you
16.
still 15?
No, I was 16 at that
16.
time. I had just
Giving
turned
birth.
16.
So you have Eric. What's your boyfriend's reaction at the time? Was he happy? Were you all happy at the time?
Of course he was happy. That was his child, and At first, he was in denial, and I like to think he was scared, and he didn't know how to deal with it, or he was just being a coward. But
When you
yes,
say
of course, he was
denial,
happy.
he was in denial that it was his child, denial that you're having a
No, no,
baby.
no,
What was
no.
the denial?
I think he was more afraid of the responsibility. Yes, he was happy, and at the same time, he went crazy on me because Eric was very light, and he said, "That's not my baby."
So when he was born, he said, "That's not my baby."
Yeah,
Okay.
and just because of his color skin.
Yeah.
And his mom looked at him and was like, "Are you nuts?
Yeah.
Like, did you know that she comes from very uh, fair uh, family?"
Yeah. So he denied it was his baby.
Yeah.
At any point, did he really accept Eric or not?
At some point, he had preference for Jonathan, and he even told him at a very young age that in front of him that that was his hijo preferido.
Yeah.
And I got very hurt, and that was one of the reasons why we fought so much because Jonathan looks more like him, so he had preference. He accepted them later on when he was in prison,